This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Hi, good morning.
Hey, Robert. Sarita?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good, thanks. I saw your good work on the icons, and let's see, we've got, oh, good, Ian is here. So, good, I think we all agreed that there was just really sort of some cleaning up around the edges, and starting with I guess literally the most visible, which is the icons. I don't have my screen, but Sarita, do you want to? Well, I'll tell you what. One of you, Sarita or Robert, maybe you can drive and maybe show us through, or just show us what you did, and then maybe we can give it back to Dan so that he can make sure it's working smoothly and and just identify any outstanding issues. But hopefully we can use today as sort of our official handoff. I think I mentioned that due to the GDPR, it's been determined that we can't, or I guess should not, really do the data import. John Kassar is going to do that, maybe with the help of Julie. But, well, actually, Julie wouldn't either because she's not a Microsoft employee. So I think John has just agreed to take that over, and I guess John and Dan might do that. It's not going to be that difficult. So what we built basically is a container. What needs to happen next is it's going to be moved from sandbox into production, and then the information or the data will be moved in, and then Dan can start working with that any way he wants to. So, Sarita, let me give you the screen. You can kind of show us.
Okay, make sure you make me the presenter on the desktop view.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay. You make presenter. Okay, all yours. By the way, while we're doing this, I'm meeting Thursday with a group of people that are basically going to be part of what I would call the success team, identifying a path for appropriate employment for you. And a lot of what I say appropriate, I'm talking about really something that takes into account where you are in the process, what kind of environment is one that is supportive of where you want to, where you need to be and where you want to be, right? Both professionally and obviously geographically. So we're going to be doing that on Thursday. It would be a good idea if I haven't spoken to you already one-on-one. Please do contact me so we can have that discussion, and I can convey that information to the team. Okay, Sarita, I can see your desktop.
Okay. With the job postings, job applications, and training sites icons, it seems like the best thing as far as get them to looking the way they should, is to use the vector graphics, and that's what I use. And I actually
Right.
would use also the Sync Fusion app, because I can do more with the apps and as far as making them the right size, taking out the background and everything so that it can be more compatible with the system. And even when I go to update the icons, it'll also, it has a little notice on the top that says to go ahead and use the SVG, which is the vector graphics, for the icons.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I tried the GIF and the PNG, and that didn't work. So when I went here to the Sync Fusion, it wasn't compatible until I made the width and height 16 pixels, which is the format suggested from our Microsoft Learning environment.
Okay.
16 by 16 to move the bar all the way over. The padding is 3 pixels. Also, I use the transparent background so that there will be no color or other background images. Icon color is right here.
Okay,
So even
beautiful,
if you need to
fantastic.
take like a screenshot, I can take a screenshot of this and put it in the chat room, the Salesforce chat room, so that people will know if you want to use make icons. This has like over 1,000 icons. You can search. You even have the list over here to choose from. It seems like this
And
is
how did?
one of the best.
No, this is a great resource, Sarita.
Yes.
How did you get here? Show us again how you got there.
Okay, I just downloaded this. I Googled Sync Fusion Metro Studio and I just downloaded it's for free, so I just downloaded it from free. But I did get the idea from the Microsoft community online.
Okay, okay.
It's a really good resource too.
And that's really good to know. And this
Hmm.
is really important. I mean, visual, um, really enhancing the Microsoft Dynamics visually is really going to be important, right? Most people, really respond to visual, right? You have visual cues. There's those rare people that can work completely with text, but you really want to. I'm one of those people that, I mean, pictures worth 1,000 words, and well chosen icons are really important. So it's good to know that you can access resources, and yeah, there are going to be issues around the format and the resolution and the different types. You don't really have to be a graphic artist, but you should know the basics. I think that's really going to be important. So thank you, Sarita, for doing that. Dan, let's go back to that screen, and let's just ask Dan if this is going to work for him. I mean, even if the point here is if you later want to change this, right? So
Yes.
you've got
Here's
these
the icon
icons.
right here also. It shows up here also.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So you've got a distinctive icon that instantly allows you to recognize where you are in the whole process, right? So this is an icon. It's it's a you got job applications, job postings, and then you've got training sites that help you quickly associate, what where you are. So good work, Sarita. Dan, you have anything to say about it? I mean, I'm assuming this is good for now, if not forever.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Sarita sent me an email saying she'd made the changes, and I checked it out over the weekend, and I have it opened up right now, so it looks
Good.
good. Good choice.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Fantastic. So it's looking good visually. Anything else, Sarita, that you did, or you had of course, you had the accounts, right? Was there anything on accounts that you changed or kind of closed the gap on? I forget what the outstanding issues were, but remind us.
No, I didn't do any work in the accounts. I know one of the outstanding issues had to do with the containment issue, but I didn't do
You
any
mean the
work on that.
constraint? You
Constraint,
mean the
that's it.
constrainment?
Yes.
Was it? Okay. Show us quickly what that is. It may not really be relevant now. I don't think it's in scope in any case, but it would have been nice to do it only for, when Carol is going to be kind of coming into this thing. Use a sample code so we know we have enough information. Okay, so contacts are good, right? So contacts obviously are limited to those associated with the account, which is the whole point here, right? So these are all, by definition, these are all sample co employees, right? So let's go to job postings. And here we have a number of job postings. Now, if you add a new job posting over there on the right, using the plus sign on the right, want to make sure that it's pre-populated with the There you go. Okay, so the employer's pre-populated. Fantastic. Now you can go to, yeah, go back to just click on sample co there on the link. Yeah, there you go. Go back to sample co. Let's look at job applications. Okay, yeah, so the applications, basically, okay, what we want there is, and again, this shouldn't be too difficult to do, but what we want there is we want, what do we want to change there? I mean, just looking at this.
Maybe to remove the employer since it's already under sample code.
Bingo,
Not
yeah.
sure.
And then what do you
Yeah.
want to replace that with?
Maybe a contact.
You got it, right. So what defines a job application? It's the job posting or the job with an individual, right? That's how you make an application, right? An individual applies to a job. Now, obviously, since we're in the account record, you don't have to include the account, but normally if it's a standalone job app, so for example, if you click on the left on job applications, the entity, right? You obviously, if you're just looking at a list view of job applications, you want to include the employer because without the employer, the job posting, right? So this is a list of all job applications. So you have to include obviously the job, which employer has posted that job, and then actually there should be another field here on this on this view. What's that field? You just said it.
Yes, the contact, point of contact.
Exactly, right. And I realize, and that's a Victor issue. Working with applications and job postings. No, wait a minute. Is that right? Or is that Robert was working on those?
No, I think Victor was working on job applications and job postings.
Okay, yeah.
And
so
Rob
Victor,
was working on contacts.
Got it, right. Okay.
Are you looking for employer contact, or are you looking for the applicant contact on this page?
Well, you tell me.
Let's see. I mean, if you're just screening through here, I would most likely be looking for the applicant.
Right, because it's an application, right? And what you're looking for is a list of people, in other words, veterans in the program who applied to a job. And again, if you just say dishwasher, it could be, which dishwasher is it? Well, it's the one at either Tesco or Accenture. So you have to have those three elements if you're just going to look at a list of all job applications, right? Those are the three key lookup fields that you got to have, right, before you know definitively that it's an application. Now, right? Does that everybody understand that? Now, you're going to want to see, okay, when was that created? So that if you go there, Sarita, go ahead and click on the created on column. Right? You just click on that. You can sort by that and say, okay, what's the most recent to oldest, or go ahead and click on it again, and just see, just basically, it's a really nice view because you can say, okay, let me see the job applications that we're getting, day by day. Here's one you got just a few days ago, plumber at ABC Company. You can now go to Stage, right? Go ahead and go to Stage and see how many people are in the, click on the stage. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So how many people are in which stage, right? We got applied, we got hired, we got 2 people hired. You can see when they got hired or when they applied or when they got an interview, right? You want to know how old that that status or stage is, right? So now obviously here, this dishwasher at Sample Co., you know, you've got some missing data. So without that data, it's really not an application, right? Because you want to know, okay, if they applied, well, it was created on the 26th, but when did they apply? I think, I'm not sure whose idea it was, but I think it was a good idea. Is that the same date? Now you might want to create a routine that makes application date or the created date the default that you can then change, just, you know, to make things easier so you don't have to repeat it. But you know, when you create an application, does not necessarily mean the date they applied. It's, you probably created the record prior to, I'm sorry, after the actual application, right? Because it's always going to be triggered. The creation of the record is going to be triggered by the event, and that there may be a delay. So anyway, yeah, good. So Victor, I think, yeah, you want to add the name, the candidate name to this view, and that'll make it complete.
John, I can't do anything with the system anymore. Can we look into why I don't have permissions to post any changes?
Oh, well, at this point, yeah, at this point, let's do this, because I think we're at the tail end. I think in view of our objective, let's do this. Sarita, go to the entity, go to the, in other words, the development environment, and to the job applications entity. Let's do that. There you go. And Victor, you can pretend you're doing this too, but this is pretty much, isn't it? Yeah. So go to the views. Yeah, open up. There you go. Open that up, and then go to views. And okay, now you want to go to the, what was it? Active? Was that, which view was that? Default. Yeah, active job applications. There you go. All right. And yeah. And then you simply want to go add the column. And I don't know if you want to, you know, again, this is well, actually, this is where Carol and Dan intersect, isn't it? Dan, you're going to want to look at this stuff, obviously, and Carol's going to be interested in it too. So again, this is something you can absolutely customize or modify later on. But if you just go ahead and add the candidate, see if just simply doing that is going to fix things. Now, I think you want to move candidate. Yeah, I don't know if you want to make it first or second, but maybe, yeah, why not first, right? Because it sort of follows, you know, Joe Dokes applied to this job with that employer, right? It's logically, it sort of follows that, you know, that's a kind of a logical sequence. So go ahead and save that, or just save, yeah. There you go. And then publish, and let's see how that looks. So voila, hopefully that does it. But Dan, you've got an idea now of how to tinker with that when you need to.
Yeah, I can mess around with it if it needs to be. I think everything looks pretty good, and I'm just going to have to use it before I figure out what might need to be changed.
Well, exactly. I mean, some of this makes me a little bit, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, because my style is to really just kind of dive in and work with real data and really as a way of understanding what works and what doesn't. I mean, it's kind of impossible to do that otherwise. So I agree with you. You're definitely going to want to have, you know, you're going to want to do some stuff around the edges there. So, okay, let's see how we stack up now. Beautiful. Okay. Now, the nice thing here, now go ahead and click on, these are the applications, right? So go ahead and click on any one of those. Let's see, click on dishwasher, and let's see if we go to dishwasher at Tesco. We should. Right, so this is a job posting for, yeah, there you go. You've got, oh, okay, that's Sample Co. All right, well, it's associated, oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, yeah, click on dishwasher for Accenture or anyone, yeah. Okay, so this is showing dishwasher for Sample Co. How do we go? Yeah, click, yeah, there you go, that one. Aha, okay. I think I've got an idea of what the problem might be. Go ahead and go back to job applications and click on the company. Yeah, again, this is, you know, a note that, yeah, Tesco, and see, now you're gonna have, obviously, job postings, you're gonna have dishwasher, should have dishwasher there. Oh, okay, now that's interesting. Okay.
Sometimes, John, data, as we've been testing this and moving it along, sometimes what I found when this occurred was that there was like old test data that didn't meet, you know, like our refinements. So I basically just deleted what didn't look right and then added in test data that should look right and see if it worked, because some of this data came before we tightened up relationships and what's supposed to show. I don't know if that's the case here, but that's what had happened to me in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. If you go back to the dishwasher position at Sample Co. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, now you see. Oh, good. Yeah, okay. So go ahead. Yeah, click on it again, and let's. Or yeah, there you go. So okay, so there's there's only two dishwasher positions, and those are both at Sample Co. Right now, why? Because they differ I think in one case in terms of when the jobs are open, when they close, you know, something like that. Same job, but they might differ by location. They might, you know, they're differentiated in some way. So that's when you might, you know, have obviously a number of job postings for the same job, right? Because they're going to differ by location or what have you, and maybe in fact, well, Dan, you can mess with that later, but you'd want to, obviously, for any job posting, you want to have a location, obviously, right? So you could do some matching there, and that'll need to be added. And we left that sort of a little variable because it's really up to you to decide how you want to characterize location. Let me ask you a question. So how do you match for location right now?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
What do you mean? How do you match for location?
Well, in other words, when you right, you have a job location. How do you designate the job location, and is that what you use to match veterans? You know, availability of veterans.
I note the location, but the way that it works really is that companies have an opening and I put it in front of all of the students that we have at the time that are looking for work, and the people that are interested can apply. We have
profiles. They self-select. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and we have profiles that they create in our SharePoint site, and they can specify regions like Northwest, you know, Northwest, Southwest, Northeast, wherever they're interested in relocating to potentially. But other than that, they self-select it.
Okay, so they'll go to a general area, and if they're like, let's say they're really tethered to a particular area, they have a real strong preference, you know, like Sarita's in the DC area, and would really like to find work there. Luckily, there's probably going to be, you know, enough opportunities there. But I guess there's a question. Would it have any value at all? Can you see there having any value to having a way by which you can sort of automatically match by zip code? If you know the zip code, in other words, of the location of the company, then you can put it in there. And by doing that, you've got sort of you can allow people to say, okay, I'm willing to be 25 miles from that particular location. It's kind of a definitive way of doing it. Would there be any value to doing that or not?
Yeah, it'd be helpful because I do have, I have students reach out like, hey, I'm moving to Sacramento. I want to be in that area. That's the only place I can go because of family or whatever the case is. Do you know of any openings in that area? So it
Right,
definitely would
and
help.
even a regional like Central California wouldn't really get it because that could include Bakersfield or someplace way the hell, 100
Right.
miles away.
Yeah.
Well, here's one of the things that that I have, and I'd be very happy to share it with you. Is basically it's a table that where all you need is the zip code, a 5-digit zip code, and it will automatically fill in the city and the state. Okay, it's like 40,000 items. It's pretty simple, right? It's just fill in the zip code, make that required. And even if it's a remote job, use something like 99999, right? And then that will automatically fill in and designate that that's a virtual job, remote job that can be done from anywhere. And a lot of jobs are going to be like that, at least as you progress in your career. So, that's just something to think about. I'm like I say, I'm very happy to send you that if you want to tinker with it. But I think that's a much more elegant way eventually if you plan for it now and start, that's why I put the zip in there. And it almost in a way that becomes definitively the location, the way for matching for location if you ever really want to get to that. And one thing that could happen is an employer comes out and says, "Oh, I really need people in Indianapolis." Well, Indianapolis has like a 5 or 4 something, let's call it 43201, which happens to be Columbus, but that's all right. You put that in there, and it'll bring up the exact part of Indianapolis where the job is, and that way, then an employer ideally could actually send invitations out to veterans that happen to be near that zip. Right? I mean, that's one way of doing it. Or the veteran can do a search and find those employers within that zip and not have to settle for I'm looking for somebody in the Northeast. I mean, like Sarita, if she wants to stay in Washington, Atlantic Seaboard is probably it's probably not going to be a big help, in that way. So anyway, it's just a thought.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. I think it would be helpful ultimately.
I'll send you that database. We have it in our instance, and I have yet to implement what I just described, but it's fairly straightforward to do that.
Okay,
nice way
awesome.
for a nice weekend project for you there, Dan.
Right.
Anyway, okay, cool. So make a note also of that job posting issue or job applications, right? Where maybe, Victor may be onto something, I don't know, but there's something going on there that needs to be, worked on. And I suppose if one of you wants to work on it, even though I think we need to basically declare that we've crossed the finish line. But if any of you see value in it, and if you're okay with it, Dan, anybody who would want to kind of tackle this and figure out what's going on, I assume you'd be okay with that, even though officially the project is done.
Yeah.
And basically up to the point where you cut over, right? And that may not be tomorrow, it may be next week. And so you've got a 1-week window to still sort of try to solve this this problem.
Yeah, when are we talking about shifting it to production specifically?
Well, you know, as soon as you say that it's ready, I think
Okay.
is really the answer.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Um,
just to be clear, the kinds of changes that you will need to make all can be done in production. You don't need to go back into the sandbox. There's going to be a lot of little stuff, you know, upgrades and modifications and things like that, and they can all be done in production. You're not doing anything, pardon me, structural that might have to be, you know, done in sandbox and then migrate to production, right? So just to be really clear, the kinds of customizations we're talking about, you can all do in production, no problem. I checked with John about this, and he agrees, John Kassar. But I think it's impractical to, you know, once you are in production, it's probably not going to be practical to continue access for any of us, right? Because now you're talking about real, you know, a working application with real data. So, right, okay. So I think, and by the way, there's a difference between acceptance and production, right? I'm going to send you a document that says, okay, I accept the application as it is, and then it's up to you when you want to move it into production, right? But it's not really going to be usable until you move it into production, because that's when you put your data into it. Okay. All right. Good work. So, I mean, Dan, is that something you'd be interested in having somebody work on? Anybody who wants to volunteer to try to tackle that? If not, then we're just ready to move it into production, and we're just going to have to fix that problem after it's in production.
yeah, I mean, if we could iron it out before shifting over, would that be the best approach?
Well, I think from a learning standpoint, yes. From a functionality standpoint, kind of marginal for right now, because honestly, you're not going to be filling it with applications until Carol really becomes part of this process, right? But it would be really nice to demonstrate to Carol with sample data this functionality within the application. It would be really, and have it actually be working the way it should.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is kind of a toss-up because I really would like to get it in production and using it.
Well, do you want to maybe put an invitation?
John, this is Vic. I'm going to, if it's okay with both of you, I'm going to look at the data like right now, and I'm going to remove what doesn't look right. So it's not going to affect. I'm not going to do any like changes to the system itself. I'm just going to remove data that doesn't look right, and then maybe add some additional test data to make sure it looks good. I'm going to go on the suspicion that we had, you know, rogue data in here, and just see if that helps at all. And then if we have to go to plan B, which is modifying any of our forms or relationships, then I'll let you know. But in case you see data changing, I think I'm going to do that while we're talking here, if it's okay with everybody.
All right, good. Yeah, good idea. I suspect it doesn't. It's not data. I mean, I hope it's not data, because the data should be, in other words, it should be associated no matter where it is in the application, right? So if you have dishwasher, then that dishwasher by necessity has to have a parent employer, right? And no matter where it appears, whether it's in a view or whether it's in a list, a grid somewhere or whatever, that association should never break, right? So application, right? You've got an applicant, you've got a job, and you've got a company or employer, right? You got those three. And that association should never be broken, no matter what. So let's see. But yeah, give it a try. Who knows? I don't, you know, I'm not seeing it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. So yeah, good. And maybe Dan, you might want to say, hey, look, we're gonna move this thing over because I don't know. John Cassar is going to have to move it into production. I don't know when he can do that. I don't think it's really difficult, but you might want to just say, hey, look, if somebody wants to tackle this, I'll give this another couple days before we move it into production. I mean, that might be if you want to put that invitation out there. I don't know if that's something you'd want to do, but if you want to move it to production now, that's fine. And who knows, maybe Vic will come up with a solution before we're done today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to put it off for a couple days if it's something that's simple enough. And it sounds like Victor, it sounds like he kind of knows that maybe just it's old data and that problem's already fixed.
Vic, it sounds like you're able to get into the system. You weren't able to, you were being blocked. I'm assuming you got that fixed?
No, so I could get in and use and see, but anytime I make a change and publish it, it's not realized. And I don't know why. I mean, everything was fine for a little while. I'm using Google Chrome, but then the last two rounds of things that I had on my plate, I tried my darndest to make the change to the entity. It looked like I could. I saved it. I published it. It looked like I could. But then when I went to to test it, the changes didn't come through. So Sarita did a couple things for me last week. I think Robert might have done a couple of things for me, but I didn't test it today or over the weekend. But as of Friday, even Friday, I tried to make a change to the entity, and I could not. It looked like I did everything that I always did before Friday, saving, publishing, but it didn't stick. The changes didn't stick. So it was I was confused because I didn't get an error. I didn't get you don't have the rights, you don't have the privileges, but I kept looking at my grid in my where I would make changes, and I certainly saw the way I wanted it to look, but then when I refreshed after publishing, I didn't see the work that I had done. So I was.
Yeah.
So that in any case, that is. Yeah, that is. Now I didn't take my shortcuts and move them over to Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer or Firefox. All I know is it doesn't work where it always worked in my Google. But anyway, I could still remove the data because I still have access to the.
Yeah, because hold that for John or Julie, and because you'll want to figure out what's going on there. You may run into this with a client down the road. If you're experiencing, somebody else is going to experience it. So it'd be a good question to lob in there. But yeah, do what you can now. Mm-hmm. And I guess if Dan, I think what you're saying is if there's somebody wants to step up to do this, Victor, I'm assuming you'll want to work on it. Then you'll kind of delay this for a couple of days, and we can ask John now because he probably needs some lead time anyway to mm-hmm. move this over. So we could declare, let's say Wednesday, or even as the cutover day, and that gives folks a chance to try to tune things up, even though it's not in scope. But again, you've identified them as desirable, and so we want to do that.
That'd be great. And Wednesday would be a great day, just because that's when I'm going to have a call with the engagement team. So it would be nice to say, hey, it's getting moved to production today. We're wrapped up.
Okay. Well, why don't we say, tentatively that it's Wednesday, and I'm going to be talking to. I guess I can contact John and confirm. John Cassar confirm that he can move it. It's not that big a deal to move it, but as long as the core functionality is here and all of the, what we contracted for is delivered to your satisfaction, we're fine to move it over. We just want to give you more than, you bargained for, along the lines of, what's going to be useful to you down the road. So we're sort of anticipating a bunch of stuff, which is almost there now and might be all there by Wednesday. That would be real nice.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, well, Victor, give it a shot. And if you're still having trouble with that, contact. I guess you've been working with Sarita and Robert on actually making whatever you discovered works, so that they can implement. Or me, if you like, give me a call. Just tell me what you want me to do. The important thing is you know what's going on and how to fix it. Right? That's the value.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And then
right.
If I need something changed, I'll circle back. Sounds good, John.
Okay. Fantastic. And I assume Dan, that if since you're going to be taking over the admin duties, that you would be sort of a fallback if Sarita, Robert, or I are not available. I'm assuming you have the ability to go in and that your admin works, unlike Victor's. And by the way, I've had that problem before myself, where I would try to save something, and it took a while to propagate. I think that was the issue. I'm trying to remember if it related to this. But anyway, thanks for seeing what you can do during this call. Okay, so Sarita, in terms of the accounts, let's see. I think we've got, go ahead and click on accounts one more time over on the left. And let's make sure, the view is good, account name, city. I guess we'd probably want to have, zip probably isn't going to really be valuable here, because if you're Accenture, you've got jobs in lots of zip codes, so it shouldn't really matter. That's my guess. If you want to go ahead and click on sample code one more time.
By the way, John, so you and everybody are aware, when I'm working on these job postings, job applications, as I am now, I'm like where the job, I'm basically going to be putting in, so if the job was dishwasher, I'm going to make it say dishwasher, sample co. And if the city was Atlanta, I'm going to make the city like Atlanta, comma, Jane Doe. I want to know exactly where I put the job posting for what company. I want to know exactly who applied for it, so that I could confirm that the relationships are working. So if you see that extra data there, it's just for testing to be 100% certain. So
got it. Yeah. Okay. You're going to hard.
Yeah, I'm going to hard type it in some of the fields, so that I make sure that when I'm looking at something under a certain company, that it was the exact job that I created under that company. So I don't want anybody to think, well, how did sample co get into the job title, or how did Jane Doe get into the city? It's just because it's going to help me be 100% certain that what I typed in, for whom, for which job, is exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Okay, good plan. Yeah, no, that's a good plan. And you don't want to give Dan the impression that he's going to have to type in the name of the company every time he creates a job.
Exactly. It's just testing.
Right.
I'm using for, I think, sample company, test company, ABC company, maybe one other one. So
okay, beautiful. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good. Okay. Let's see, Robert. Nice work, Sarita, by the way. I think Dan, hopefully you agree where this entity is good. And again, this is your space. So do you have any other comments? Looks like everything's pretty much worked.
I think it looks good. I mean, it's tracking the relevant information, and the timeline was a huge thing for me. So I'm glad to see that that's working.
Yeah. That's you really can't manage a relationship without that, what was said, what was sent, so good. Yeah, that seems to be working. All right, Robert, thank you, Sarita. Good work. Robert, you want to take us
Okay,
through
you're welcome.
contacts and, yeah,
I
great.
just said you're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Let's see. What do we want? We're going to give it to, do you know how to hand it off to Robert? Actually, I can do that. I'll go ahead and do that. Just make presenter. All right. Okay, Robert. Robert is now the presenter.
Okay, cool. So I'm unable to get into the sandbox. I'm not sure if anybody saw. I posted in the learning community about it. It seems to be an issue that occurred before. I think it has something to do with me using a Gmail account to get into the environment. I don't know, but I made some changes that in the trial environment that can be ported to the sandbox or pre-production environment pretty readily. So if you want, I can walk through some of those. Okay, so this is kind of the trial environment you can see up here. It's development. So the side menu, I made a few changes just because it's a little easier to navigate, right? The contacts, there are two types of contacts, but I haven't found a way to allow this side menu to kind of present each type of contact. So that's going to be done through security roles. For example, I'm logged in. If I only had the employer contact security role, when I click contacts,
Okay, Robert, just one. Oh, so maybe I missed this, but this looks to be your sandbox, not the one that we expect to roll into production.
Yeah, I can't access that one. I says I'm not a
Oh,
member of the organization.
okay. Gosh. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this, Dan. Why don't you go ahead and log in, and Robert, you can direct Dan to kind of walk through the different views or forms and views. And that's probably a better way to go anyway. Dan, are you online there? Do you have access?
Yeah, I already have it
Because we.
up. And then, Robert, one thing you might try is using a private browsing window. I don't know if you've tried that already, but I know
I,
our SharePoint
I,
site has this issue from time to time, and sometimes that incognito or private browsing window helps.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I tried multiple browsers. I tried a few different things, but I haven't been able to make any changes in the sandbox environment. So anything that you saw last week, it's just going to be the same thing that you see this week. There really isn't any. I mean, all of the kind of improvements that I made were in the environment that I was just presenting. It includes like automation, updated navigation, better kind of record control based on security roles and such.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's too bad. But you learned something, and maybe you can kind of tell us on a kind of a high level what that path is, so that Dan can work on that. For right now, though, all contacts, right, until Carol gets involved months from now, all contacts will, in fact, by definition, be employer contacts. So we don't really have to worry about that. But I think Robert's very important. The work that you've done will eventually be obviously really relevant to this, and maybe you can share with us generally what with Dan, if he wants to work on it after we've gone into production, then that would be great. For now, though, why don't we go to contacts under employers? Dan, if you could just click on that and get the list view. We'll start with the list view. right? So you've got my active contact. Let's look at the options that you have for list views and see if in fact those are useful to you, right? You got all contacts. That's always good because your team is going to generate contacts. You've got employer contact. Let me click on or go to employer contacts and let's see. For now, they're pretty much going to be okay. So these are employer contacts, and let's make sure that in fact, I mean, the filter should say, give me only the contacts whose type is employer contact, right? So go ahead and click on one of the contacts and let's make sure. Yeah, just there you go.
But this is something
yeah,
I noticed is that these titles changed. Instead of employer and veteran or what the old titles were.
Oh. Okay, boy, that's not.
Yeah, I was just looking in here and I just noticed that a minute ago before I was sharing screen.
Okay. Boy, that's how did that happen?
So I think the
Well,
original
what happens when you
this one remains the same, it looks like.
Well, yeah, it says single solution contact. It should just say candidate. That's because you're changing it to a candidate. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, general information, timeline, and related. Okay, that is for interactive experience.
I'm wondering if this has something to do with the LinkedIn and sales navigation being added, or was that ever added in?
No, I've been locked out for a while. I haven't really been able to do anything in this environment.
Yeah. Yeah, then I'm not sure what would have changed it.
Well, let's see. Robert, maybe you can in the background. Maybe you can sort of look. That's right. You can't get in. Dang. Okay.
Did you try that incognito, Robert, or that private browsing window?
Yeah, I had a similar issue before when I was first given access, and John Kassar said he had to do something to allow me to access this environment because I was using a Gmail account. So, I don't know if something changed on that end, but I've kind of run out of things to try on my end, really.
All right. I'm going to go to. I'm going to actually do this. Maybe, Dan, maybe you can sort of go through this. Robert, you can kind of lead him through, or, well, Dan, you can lead yourself through it. But I mean, let's just go through and identify other issues. I'm going to take a look here on my thing and see if I can kind of identify what's going on. Obviously, the forms that are being presented. Okay, now we've got.
Do you want to share your screen while you go through that?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a thought. Let me do that. Okay. John Reynolds, make presenter. Okay. And then I'm going to show you this screen here. Yeah. So here's what's interesting. There's nothing in these forms that relates to any, right? We got oh, wait a minute, single solution contact. Now, how in the world did that get in there? Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. Because
John, we can't see your screen. I can't see your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. That should work, hopefully. Okay, so we're looking here at single solution contact. I don't know. Wow. Okay, well, this is.
Yeah, John, this is the form that the idea was there was only one form. So, but this idea was scrapped in favor of security roles because the only way this works, from what I can tell, is using what's called unsupported solutions. So, It can be done. It's generally done at with an on-premises installation of 365, and it happens kind of through the browser of whoever's using it. So it's not an optimal solution. So it's two different forms, one for employer contacts, one for candidate contacts, and then
Got it. Okay.
yeah. So this
So
can
this
be
is
this can be deleted.
well. Let's leave it just for reference because it is a perspective view of how we would display information, a comprehensive. Let's just call it okay if we change this to comprehensive view or something like that, just so that's because single solution. I don't know. It's confusing to me, but maybe. Do you like this, Dan? Single solution this designation, really up to you.
Well,
Or
I mean, now that I know
comprehensive.
what it is, it makes sense to have that title.
Okay. Okay. I'll just leave it. I'll leave it there.
Okay.
And then go back to let's see, save and close. And I want to look to make sure, why is it that we are seeing now those, right? What we want is you want candidate contact, and we want employer contact, and maybe the veteran, the candidate quick create. And by the way, I'm just going to change this because candidates by definition are veterans. And again, just this is just in the spirit of spareness. We're going to get rid of veteran, right? Because it's by definition it's a veteran, right? So it's candidate quick create. We're going to save and close. All right. So what the mystery to me is, I don't know why it is that on the user, on the application, we're not really viewing the candidate contact or employer contact or the things we want to see, right? Yeah, that I don't get, and we really just want these two. I mean, honestly, I think to be viewed. We don't want to. Oh, I think I. Let's see here. Can anybody remember how to restrict which views are seen on the form itself? I'm trying to remember. Oh, maybe only show unused fields. Okay, so I think there's a change.
Oh, John, you're talking about a grid on a form?
Not a grid. No. I'm talking about the form view that you're going to see. Okay, events is not there. In other words, right, so when this form appears, we don't really want to see some of the other views or forms because that's confusing, right? We have.
Oh wait, I think I know what you're talking about, John. So in the solution, if you select views, you can activate or deactivate certain views.
Oh,
You can do it.
okay.
Yeah, you can do it
Oh,
through
there
the
you
app
go.
designer too. But there's some quirks
Well,
with
but we're
that.
not. Yeah, we're not talking about a view. We're just simply talking about. And again, I'm gonna. Where's this thing? I don't.
Oh, they're all active, so you should be able to see
Oh,
all
by
of
the
them.
way, okay, I just want to really show you something really quickly because I think this speaks to your thing, and I'm sorry to bounce around like this, but I'm gonna basically show you a different. Okay, presenter. I want to show a different view, and I don't. Crap. All right, I'm not used to this. Okay. Oh, come on. Settings. Okay. Speakers, camera. audio. All right. Well, here I'll just drag it over to here to this other thing. Okay. Does this look familiar, Robert?
Yeah, that's exactly the same screen I'm
Right.
getting.
Okay, so now I am in the John, my thing, but nonetheless, here's how I fix it. This is like the old one, right? So I start typing in MSSA, and I get, oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, well, you know what? You know what's interesting is this isn't recognizing when I type this in. So basically, I have to go back to here, which, okay, so this is my other identity, right? Dynamics development. It's a football, instead of a picture. But if I go here and go to what was it? CRM. Yeah. If I go here, oops. Yeah. Go to here. It's going to say. I think it's going to say the same thing. I'm not a member. All right. But so I have to kind of override it and go like this. Just start typing MSSA, and now I get this, right, which allows me to zero in on the one I really want. And when I click on that, right, I do get access.
That's
right.
okay.
So it may, if you just well, here, I'm going to put this into the chat window and see if that works for you. And you may have to create another identity, blah, blah, blah. But
yeah, I like for the MSSA SB, the sandbox, I've been using Edge. Like I stopped using Chrome because we got that email about it. So I've been using Edge and haven't had any issues. And I've been using the incognito browser for the most part, so nothing is saved. It's like the trial environment. I just type in make.powerapps.com and boom, I'm right there.
yeah. Okay, well, look,
I'll give this a shot.
It's a daylight and a dollar short to fix this here, but give that a shot. Let's again go back. I just want to go back to the the contact thing, because this is kind of a mystery as to why. And again, we're not talking views, we're talking just forms. So, well, let's just go ahead and save, and I'm going to publish all customizations and see if, right, because we changed, well, no, we didn't really change anything here, but it's, let's see. I want to go into the sandbox now. And if we go to a contact, let's see, go to Dan. Okay, so here, oh, this is, okay, single solution contact, which it actually is, I think. Is it? Yeah. Candidate statement and resume. Yeah, this is the single contact, but we don't really have contact for AI sales. I mean, where the heck did that come from? Okay, well, I mean, we had this thing working. Now it's like, right? Because, and it doesn't look like you have contact type. Well, you wouldn't on this one. Details. Okay, now this is completely.
John, my best guess, and this is a guess because I've never seen this before, is because this is built on the sales, like dynamics for sales, this may just be something that.
No, it's not. Remember, we moved it to the sandbox so that we could, disengage from all of the extraneous stuff that's with the sales stuff, right? Remember?
Oh, okay. Well,
so
then
we built this from scratch. Yeah, we built this from scratch, but you're probably right. I think half of this is probably has to do something with something leaked through, and it probably was invoked by something that was done that said, oh yeah, okay, put this form in there. But where did that form come from if we don't really see, we can't really see it here? I mean,
Well,
where's that
yeah,
AI form?
Dynamics has like default forms. Like if you remove all quick create forms from this and still press the quick create button, Dynamics will give you a quick create form, even though one doesn't exist, and it'll just build one for you. So that, I mean, I'm just kind of taking shots in the dark here, but that's my best guess.
Okay,
But I
well,
was
this
able
this
to
is
get
this
back
is
in. It looks like I'm back in the environment.
okay.
The
So that worked.
MSSAB, yeah.
All right. Well, look, why don't you work on that and see what you can do hopefully during this call to fix this problem and make it so that really when Dan goes in, really what he's seeing is right just really the two. Well, Dan, you tell us. I mean, you don't. I'm assuming you don't want the single solution contact view because that doesn't serve you and it's limited according to Robert. So let's eliminate that and just make it real simple. You want candidate view and you want employer contact view, period. Dan, tell
Yeah.
me if there's any other view or form that you want.
No, that should be fine.
Okay, I think it's wise to sort of start simple, and then you can always kind of put bells and whistles on it later. But Robert, if you can do that and make it so that the only choices available here are this correspond to the contact type, right? So here's Dan showing we've got veteran candidate, employer contact, and again,
Yeah, I have been
yeah,
working on that. I just want to make sure I understand what you're asking for. Essentially, the contact is changed, or the form is changed when you change this field, right?
no, not necessarily. I mean, that would be nice if you can get that to work. What I'm saying is that if this is a veteran candidate, right? In other words, there's two types of contacts. For right now, we can't make it so that the form automatically changes, but we do want to be able to view the appropriate form. And for right now, it's not an issue because Dan's not going to be dealing with these. He's going to be dealing with these, and he's always going to want to see. Well, we don't even have available the form for this right now. But the point I'm making, yeah, if you can make it so that the content of this field determines the form that is displayed, that would be really cool. Now, it's going to take some programming, but that's not the objective here. The objective here is simply to make these forms, basically to provide a view of the employer contact as the default form. And
Yeah,
then,
I
but
can set
also
it up.
allow somebody to view the veteran, the candidate form too here.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, so I was working on setting it up so Dan would only see the employer side of things. I can set it up so he can see both though. That's not an issue. But yeah, like you said, when you having Dynamics change the form being displayed when you change a field on a form, unsupported solutions, on-premises solutions, nothing that I think it's, well outside of my wheelhouse right now.
Okay, yeah, and that's a given. I think the value here is that yeah, this is something it's doable. Julie says it's doable, and it's way beyond the scope of not only the project, but I think of this short training course. Still, I think the value here is just knowing that you can research it and solve it, by taking advantage of many different resources.
Yeah, I think it's easier to have a developer or like a programmer who can do it because it's really a lot of this is XML based if you're familiar with XML, and a
Yep.
lot of it, yeah, involves kind of making changes in XML. And then it's, again, like I said, the biggest concern I have is a lot of those solutions are unsupported. So if you break something
Okay.
and go.
All right.
But
Well, look,
that's
that's for later. For right now, the important thing is making it so that the only two choices here are employer contact and veteran and candidate.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I
if you
can
can
do that. I
work
might
on
be able
that,
to do that now.
that would be great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Dan, any comments, questions beyond that?
No, everything looks good to me, with this
All right.
exception of what we discussed waiting a day or two for. But I think it all looks good. I think it's going to work. And like I said earlier, I think right now I just need to use it, use it like I'm, use it for
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
primary and see how it goes and what I need to mess with.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. So this looks okay. So active job. Okay. So one thing that is missing from here is what? Right. I'm just moving through this really quickly, but what is missing from here?
And I'm gonna have to jump off, John. I have to get ready for a call I have coming up really quick.
Okay, Dan. I'm gonna check with John Kassar about cutting over, but let's just assume that you're gonna cut over to production on Wednesday, and of course you know how to reach me in the meantime, Dan.
All right, sounds good, and thanks
And
everyone.
I'm glad you're going to join us on Thursday. That's great. Thank you.
Yep. Thank
Oh,
you.
Take care.
yeah.
Okay, so
John,
what's missing from here?
before I answer that, so it looks like I can't make the change that you asked for. Like the access that I have is just to the solution. So the kind of the advanced settings menu, I'm not sure how to get there from this screen. And when I try to go to the screen that allows me to get there, I get a message that says that the user account does not exist in the tenant, cannot access the application.
Okay, well look, why don't I just go ahead and why don't you can walk me through it. And again, this is right how.
Oh
Oops.
yeah, this is it. So go to security, yeah, settings and then security.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Is that really something we fix in security? Can't we just fix it from I mean, this should be something we fix from here, right?
So if you scroll
We
down
just
on the
want,
left,
here's what we want.
yeah,
We want the candidate contact and the employer contact only to be visible. We don't want the
and
AI or,
they're active, right? But they're
well,
like bands restricted. Like run if you run the app, can you see those forms? Like if you click on contacts.
no, I mean, that was the whole point, right? So contacts, let's go to a different contact, right? We've
And
got our only
so many.
options are still contact. What the hell is this? I have no idea. What the hell is this? I don't have any ideas, right? So we can't even see the forms that we made specifically for these types of contacts. And that's the
Yeah,
point.
the only thing I can think of is the security roles attached to the actual form. Well, let's look at the form. Let's see what.
Well, wait a minute.
Click on.
Let me ask you, before you do that, did you do anything at all in this app? Did you tinker with security roles at all?
Well, so the last meeting we had, and when I got locked out, I was adjusting. I changed some security roles, but didn't actually commit those changes because I was going to ask before I did. But then someone else made some changes, published, and it changed some security roles. So I haven't been able to get back in to kind of undo that. So that's what I thought was causing this, but I didn't I didn't touch anything with your security role. So if this is you logged in, then you should be able to see kind
Oh,
of all of the forms.
well, but I don't see them.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
I mean,
point.
yeah, so we can look a few places, right? We can look at the actual forms themselves and see what the security roles are attached. And then we can look at your security roles. Because the only way I know how to restrict the forms, like who sees what form, is based on security role.
Okay. Yeah. Really? Okay. Okay, well, it wasn't, and it didn't need to. Well, okay. Uh,
Well, I didn't
okay,
change
let me
anything
go.
to your account, so, and I've been
Right,
locked
I
out
understand.
since the last meeting.
Let
So,
me go where you told me to go and see what is, because I never did anything with security roles, and right now, well, it's I don't know how this would be happening where changing a security role would introduce forms that aren't even part of this application. That's like a little bit concerning to me. Um, okay,
well, if
Sarita,
you
see
look
you
at
later.
permissions, yeah, like if you look at the permissions, there are certain things that certain users can do or not do. And again, that Dynamics 365 just has like things it can do, whether they're part of the solution or not, from what I can tell. Like
Okay, so going here to,
security
see, where's
underneath administration, under
I'm
system,
under systems. Okay. Oh, security. Okay.
and users.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, let's look to see what. Okay, now click on your name there, the third one, John Reynolds. And click on Manage Roles at the very top under where it says Get Apps for Dynamics. It's
Oh,
under
manage.
Sandbox. Yep, it's in the ribbon there.
Okay.
Okay, now scroll down on this. See what sales. Yeah, I think
Oh,
everyone was assigned.
salesperson. Ah,
No,
I'm
that's
not a
not it.
salesperson.
Well, that was assigned to all of us. Like if you look at all of the users, we have those three. Those are kind of like whoever set up this environment. They're
Okay.
the
Well,
ones. Well,
I'm
hold
just
on.
gonna do this real quickly, and then I want to
Well,
see how
okay.
I want to see if this, because the forms that we saw, those are sales forms, right? And if I'm a salesperson, maybe it's inheriting that because it's saying, okay, no,
Maybe.
it's not. Okay.
Yeah,
Still the
let's.
same ones. All right, so I'll go back
Yeah, go
and
back to the security roles and scroll. Go back to manage roles and scroll down
well,
on this list.
right. I want to restore the salesperson
Salesperson.
role because that didn't work. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, go back to manage roles, and because I created two new security roles, and scroll down here. Yeah, okay. See, scroll back up in the E where the E's are. See where it says employer contact liaison, right? That's one I
Mhm.
created, and it's attached to kind of the employer forms. So
Got it.
it's, yeah, if someone has this, then they'll be limited to what they can see. Don't give yourself that because
Okay.
it place restrictions there. Now, I did that on Dan's account, Dan Shimade. Well, I checked it, but I didn't.
By the way,
Whatever.
it's shoemate. Yeah, he
Oh,
pronounced it shoemate. Just FYI.
yeah, no, it's
I
good to
mean,
know.
that's John was. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, so you can cancel this because yeah, your roles are the same as they were. So let me see.
Yeah,
Click
and
on contact.
I'm really late for a meeting I've got to get to myself.
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty late.
I don't.
And
Can anybody access the audit records for this environment? We can kind of see who made what changes. It's
I
a more
don't know how
efficient
to do
way.
this. Unfortunately, I really do have to run, and I'm just hoping that we can get like I say, it was working perfectly, and now it's not. And I mean, can you think of anything at all that might have caused this thing to revert now back to cause this thing here?
Uh,
Um,
that I have no idea. Like the single solution contact, if we just saw that, okay, I can sort of understand that because I was trying to do kind of one form fits all. But the other two items, I have no idea where they came from. Like I know AI is. Uh,
but
I've
the
seen
single
it's
solution
possible, but
contact was never really on here anyway. The only two that we had were candidate and employer contact. That's it, and that's all that
Yeah.
should be on here.
Yeah,
Right?
so that's why I was doing most of the work in the trial environment, because the single solution contact, it was experimental, right? But I got it to sort of work using events in JavaScript. But the more I read about that, the more I realized that's not an
Yeah.
optimal solution. So
We
I,
have to go right back to simple. This thing's going to be cut over into production. We just simply have to forget about security roles. Dan and his team are the only people who are going to be using this, and get this back to where it was. If you can figure out how to do that, and then let me know when that's been done. I think that's probably the at a minimum we need to do that, and probably no more than that. I mean, I don't. I think messing around with security roles at this point is only going to get us into trouble. That's my opinion. But is that something? Do you have the wherewithal? Do you have access enough to work on this now? I mean, not but in our last push over the goal line.
I don't know. I mean, I can delete the security roles I created. I don't think if they're attached to certain forms, but I don't know where those two other things are coming from. Like the AI items, like I can't guarantee, or I can't even guess if they'll stop showing up if I make the changes, because I don't know why they started showing up in the first place. That's nothing I added, and as far as I know,
Is
nothing
that
that I did would have created
okay?
those.
Well, look, maybe I'm wondering, maybe you could, through the Learning Center, contact Julie and figure it out. I mean, I didn't do anything. I mean, I wasn't in this, and I just assumed that. And I don't know, Victor, was there anything in here that you might have done that just rack your brain for it? But we just
I've
need a
been locked
clue
out.
for.
I've been locked out the last week.
Okay. Well, this is entity specific, right? It has nothing to do with relationships or grids or anything like that. It's just simply which form gets presented in this entity for any user, regardless, right?
And one of the things that can happen is that we have forms in the solution, right? We have the candidate, employer forms, the forms we created, but also in the common data services, right? Like the underlying larger database, there are a lot of things, right? Like it's its own ecosystem. So those two items could be coming from the common data service. And if we don't have access to that, and as far as I know, we wouldn't really be able to access that. Like you can, I don't remember. If you recall. I know Victor will probably remember this. We were working in the app designer, like the new kind of interface that Dynamics has for creating forms or entities, and they all had that new prefix instead of V2W. When that occurs, those items are created kind of in the common data service solution, which is the
Okay.
ultimate underlying solution.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really have to go. I'm just leaving somebody waiting. I click on all forms here, and there's nothing about AI or anything else. And so, if you want to reach out to Julie and just that'd be my recommendation. If that doesn't work, but we absolutely need to restore visibility to these two forms in the solution, and just everything else is. So we even go to active forms, it's the same list. Now, can we make these inactive? Yeah, but probably. But then what happens here to something that is not even on the list? Contact for AI sales. I mean,
I can sort of show you what I'm talking about in the environment. I mean, if you
I
have to go,
can't.
you have to go. Yeah.
I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I'd love to
Sure.
stay, but yeah. Okay. What do you have time for? Let me just ask you that, because I need to get this thing out the door. And if it's not something you feel you have access to or whatever, I'll get it done through John or Julie. But it's become, a high priority at this point. And fine if you want to work on it, but I understand if you can't.
Yeah, like I said, if it's something in the common data service that's been added through the app designer that way, I barely have, like I'm kind of
Yeah,
limited to
I
solutions.
I just need to know if you have time to try to fix it. And if you don't, then I need to know that now because I need to make it, I need to go fix it. And that's fine if you don't, right? But like I say, it just needs to be fixed, period. And so if you want to give it a try and then get back to me, that's fine. But I don't want us to be duplicating effort here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like I can
Yeah.
see.
Yes or no, Robert? I just need a yes or no. I know you don't know what's going on, but
I'll
neither
say
do
no.
I.
Yeah, I'll say
Okay.
no,
All
just
right.
conservative, because I
Okay. All
don't
right.
have an
I will
answer.
put that. I will take that on then. Okay. Fine. That's great. I need to run. And but thank you. You guys have made good progress. I really appreciate your inquisitiveness. And like I say, just need to
Oh wait, I think I
scat
found
here.
one. Okay, all right, John. See you later.
What's that? You did find it?
I found
I'm
some.
sorry.
So I guess there's an app that was added in the solution. So it's kind of like a recursive. When Sarita was walking us through how to add icons, she added an app, right, to our solution, which is part of an app. And within that app that was added to this solution, like if you on the left, if you see where it says near the bottom of your screen, model driven apps, yeah, double click
Yeah.
on that and double click on MSSA Vet app, and you'll see the two forms. Well, if you highlight forms beside contact, on the left it says
This
contact, bottom left. Nope, bottom left of your screen.
bottom. Okay.
See now, see where it says on the right there, AI for sale.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now
So
I just unchecked. Well, I checked candidate contact and employer contact. Neither one of the two AI, the other forms were checked, but they're showing up for whatever reason. So I think it has to do with this. I'm not sure why this app was added. It didn't make sense to me. Sarita may have been taking different courses than I was, but she might have a better answer. I was able to, and again in the trial environment, add icons a slightly different way with a few less steps. So it seems like I'm not exactly sure why this was added or what's going on here, so I don't want to make any changes to it.
okay. Yeah. So this is a view I'm not familiar with, but okay. All right. Look, I mean, you may have found it.
It's a
Now I
lead.
don't even know what the MSSA Vet app is. Oh, wait a minute. Is that what we've been looking at here?
I mean, we're
Um,
building. We're building the solution to create the app, right? Like whenever we're doing the
right.
demonstrations. But this is an app inside that app, which you can do. I just don't know why it is.
So, but this
It's like
was, so
calling the
this
app.
was,
Oh,
so under model-driven apps, this didn't begin to begin with. This was added later by Julie. Is that what you're saying, Robert?
No, this was added by Sarita. When she was given the demonstration on how to update icons, she added this and then made some changes to icons in this, which I don't.
Oh, for
Yeah,
model-driven app.
but why is it called MSSA Vet app? I mean, that wouldn't have already existed. That had to have
well,
been
I mean,
created by some.
you can close this and see where it says new. You can click new or add existing. Yeah, see, so you can click new, and essentially it's just this solution where you can add external apps, or it's like a collection. You can create a solution that's an app that also has other apps in it. Um,
Oh, okay. Do you think this was created then, and then we can just safely get rid of it, or? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, Sarita did it. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to delete it. Again, some of the changes I made regarding security roles are still in place. I don't have access to change those. The only person I changed was adding Dan Shumate to the employer liaison role, which shouldn't have It didn't work like it did. I didn't expect it to work the way we saw it work, and I have a feeling it has something to do with this. And this is
Okay,
a
so it
large.
last saved on the 11th, and I'm guessing. Let's see, is there some sort of play the app to see how it works? Okay, play the app. Okay, I'm delaying my meeting because I think you may be on to how we're, on getting this thing fixed. It's okay. Now this is not. I don't expect that this will have changed. Yeah, contact AI for all sales. But yeah, that's where I mean that's where it appears, right?
Yeah,
It
so
basically
yeah.
that's the only place that we've identified where that particular thing appears, right? Is it in the the forms?
Yeah, so the app we're
And there's
creating is just running this internal app instead of kind of all the other stuff, it seems.
Well,
so do you,
AI is not checked. It shouldn't
no, it
be
isn't.
showing. But
Well,
there
if
may
we
be.
okay,
But
maybe we just get rid of this. So this is AI, social pain. Yeah, this looks like a. We just remove it, maybe, huh?
Well, that's for
that's
field.
gonna
Yeah.
remove the
What's
thing.
that?
No, unchecking it does it, but it may be replicating from somewhere else. So Robert, it sounds like we've got 2 or 3 things to explore. One is the default app where all the entities show up, and then the designer view from the default app, and then the model-driven apps, and then the
Oh, you can
designer view
remove
from
this.
that.
Yeah, you can remove this. Above where it says delete, you can click remove and then try running publish and then try running the app.
That might be the best start. Good idea, Robert. And if
So
anything, the
remove.
worst thing that might happen is we remove the icon.
We can always
So
add it back too. Yeah, like it not
so
delete,
delete.
Remove.
Right.
well,
Okay.
the tooltip, yeah, the tooltips. No, John, don't delete it. Just remove it.
Or remove it.
The tooltip's a bit misleading. That way, if it is crucial, like I said, this isn't my area, but if it is crucial, save, publish all customizations.
Save and close.
Well, no, that'll
Right.
close out the entire thing. You just
Oh,
save and then publish. But the
to the
if it
left,
is crucial,
just
it
save.
can always be added back.
Well, publish. Yeah. Okay. Publish all
So
customizations.
so publish all customizations will do all entities all over again, right? From this
Yeah,
level.
I guess that was something I think we talked about a while ago. It's when you have multiple people working in the same kind of solution, you can end up publishing changes made by other people. So yeah, go back to the app and then refresh. You can close this.
Okay. Yeah. It's still sort of. Close this. Okay. So go back here.
And then refresh the page. So it.
Refresh. I don't know if it. Well, let's see if it actually published. Okay, yeah, contact AI for sales. Well, it may not have finished publishing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it would still show that up. But the only place that form was showing up is it was in that kind of embedded solution.
Okay. Well, look, maybe yeah, AI for sales, and we still have the same issue. Maybe Robert, could you do this and just check with Sarita, see if she. I mean, it looks like probably she did this, but if you can check with her and see what she did, and then if she has any sort of clue as to what is going on, let us know. And then if she doesn't, if that's no help, I'll go back to John and Julie and get this fixed. But at least we know we now have a suspect, right? As to what's going on here. So
I'm pretty limited on kind of what I can do. I could shoot Sarita an email and just say, hey,
Yeah,
Do
just
you
tell
have,
her, yeah, this is what's going on, and it looks like this AI for sales only appears, from what we can tell, in this application that it appears you created. And so, do you have any other insight to, any other insight to provide for us? If you could do that, that would be a big help. And just ask her if she has anything at all to add. And I really do need to run. I'm being rude here
yeah, for
by
sure.
delaying. Okay. Well, look, thanks, Robert, and get back to me if you could, and I'll get track this down through John and Julie.
Okay. Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that's the best bet.
Yeah.
Sarita may not have any idea, but I'll ask.
Okay. Thanks, Robert. Got to
Yep.
run.
All
Take
right.
care.
Adios. Bye bye.